Are you the type of person who likes to give their opinion, especially on a dance floor? Well, have you ever thought that you might be judging and not actually just giving an opinion? Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Rasa the dancer is here. This video has been inspired by all of the people who comment some very interesting opinions on my channel. Now, as you know, I always encourage you to use the comments and tell me what you think. Some of your comments are questionable. So let's talk about the difference between giving an opinion and actually passing on judgment. And since this is a dance related channel, I will associate a lot of the examples with the dance scene itself. But I think we can use this example in normal day life as well. So let's talk about it. There is a huge difference in stating your opinion about the art, and there's a huge difference stating your opinion about the technique, okay? So let's break it down. First, let's talk about the art. Art in dance world is basically anything to do with costumes, anything to do with the type of music one picks. Art is styling, different kind of styling that people prefer to do, and all kinds of like little bits and bobs that might seem like is the dancing, but it's actually a creative thing that they do on top of the dancing. And sometimes even the way the dance is expressed is from a creative side because it was chosen to be that way and nothing to do with technique. When that is happening, we are all entitled to our opinions, and God knows I have plenty, right? We have discovered on this channel. But that's like just saying your personal opinion. What do you think the influence is when you see those things? How it affects you? How do you believe it affects other people? That's an opinion. Now, the difference between an opinion and a judgment is to say that somebody's doing something wrong. You can say, in my opinion, this costume looks a little bit rude. And when younger people look and aspire to this, they think that this is the norm. And, you know, they might be influenced to cover up less and show more naked body. Okay, so that's an opinion. This is what I think that this could influence in the long run. A judgment is something that you would say, this is a stupid costume, or this is wrong, this is vulgar, and give no reasoning to why you say this. So just stating something in a negative light, I don't believe is a good thing, because I can tell the difference between opinion and a judgment. So when I read a comment and it's just a judgment, I don't even pay attention. I just kind of mark it in my head and then at some point make video like this. But in general, I can tell the difference, but not a lot of people can. And so I thought it's important for you to understand, because you might not be even judging. You might be thinking you're just giving an opinion. So it's very important, if you say something that is maybe not to the positive of the video or the person or whatever, that you would state why. Because when you state why, it means that you actually have an opinion of why it is that way or why you think that way, right? So that's a huge thing. And the reason this is also important about the art is to understand that in terms of art, there is no wrong. There is questionable, there is potentially in the future harmful, there's all kinds of things, but it's not necessarily wrong. We do not know what's right or wrong. We have an opinion about it, but we do not know for sure. There's too many people in this world, and there's too many variables. And to be sitting on a high horse and say, I know what's right or wrong in terms of art. Well, look at all around us through history, all of the art that has been created, and so many questionable situations and scenarios and the artists that had to go through. And then later in life, we say, oh my God, he was a genius. But back in his day, he was like literally abused, right? So let's not make it so that later we will appreciate it. Let's make it now so that we still are able to say what we think, but make it as an opinion rather than a judgment, because it's art. We are all supposed to be expressing ourselves, and it's supposed to be free. We're supposed to not feel like because we are being ourselves that we will be condemned and judged, because then we will reserve and not show who we really are and what we truly like. So let's just give people space to express themselves and then analyze it and be in wonder rather than be in judgment and say it is wrong. Now let's talk about technique, and this is a big one. When you have an opinion about the technique of somebody dancing, the actual technical part of their dancing, you have to be very, very careful. And this is the way I break it down. If you talk about any dance that's been around for years and been the same techniques implemented through the whole world, like for example, ballet, you can see if the toe is not turned out and exactly the right angle, the technique is wrong, right? It's different for salsa, bachata, or Latin dances in general, like because they come from the streets. Dominican bachata comes from the streets. You have salsa comes from the streets, and then later it went to different places and it became more than what it was before in terms of the technique. And then also remember, you have ballet dancers now starting to dance salsa or bachata. You have ballroom dancers starting to dance salsa and bachata. You have hip hop dancers starting to dance salsa and bachata. So suddenly there's different techniques than being immersed in salsa and bachata. So now, you know, even though certain things in lead and follow, how one leads and how one's follow is very universal, more or less, there's still preferences. Like if you talk to different teachers from different countries, there's still preferences. There might be slight difference in how you hold your hands or something. But in general, it's more or less the same. But in terms of how it's executed or how you move your body or what you do with it, that becomes very, very different depending where you're gonna be, whose school you take, where the dancer actually had the techniques originated from. So it's so different that you cannot say this is wrong. Passing on judgment, it is really, really difficult. Like if you see somebody with bad posture dancing like this, you can say, okay, the posture is bad. And you don't need to say why. You have to have posture when you're dancing. That's different. When you say, for example, I had somebody comment on my salsa video, it's like my hips are not moving or whatever when I'm dancing salsa. It was a video where we were doing crossbody salsa gliding effect, and it was by choice. So it was a completely different technique that we were practicing, completely different things that we were focusing on, and we were not influencing with the Latin fuse hip style in the crossbody salsa. So it's so hard to pass judgment unless you're some sort of super duper expert. And this is when you're supposed to pass an opinion and say, I prefer to see when hips are moving. For me, this is a little bit flat and dead. Perfect. But if you say this is wrong because she's not moving hips, it is wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Because you have no idea what the video is about. You have no idea where the dance is coming from, what technique they come in. It's a different dance, salsa and bachata, anywhere you go. And it's not the same as ballet. It's not one or the other. There's many different things. So be careful with the techniques. Express your opinions always, always. That's what it's all about. And we're gathering information. We're getting to know what people like, what don't. But be careful with your judgment. And final point that I would like to make is to pay attention. What impact do you actually have on anything, whether the video, whether the comment section, whether the world, whether your own dancing, whether somebody else's dancing? What is it what's your impact? So I always, whatever I do, I try to sit and actually before, like if I have anything negative going through me, or if I'm questioning something, I always try to spend just a little bit of time and actually understand where these feelings are coming from, because whatever you say or do leaves an impact. Now, if you don't care, it's fine. You don't care, you don't care. But if you're now listening to this and you actually care, then really remember, you make an impact. There's so many comments on this channel that are super useful. Other people read it and they opening their minds. It's like, oh, I have never thought of that. You are changing somebody's perspective just by your comment. For me, for example, when I read your comments, I gather information. It's like, oh, okay, people actually want to see more of this and they feel less relative to this, and that makes a huge impact on how I create my videos. Your opinions on the comments, they actually impact me on how I create content. And there's so many ways you are impacting others with your dancing. Like when I'm dancing, I hope I'm impacting people to feel joy and freedom. My statement with my dancing and my classes is always to find who you are and enjoy the dancing with the best way possible, the technique and everything, but so that you could still remain yourself and not become somebody else. I'm all about personal, unique style. So everybody has an impact. When you're dancing with somebody else, somebody asked you to dance and you said yes, or vice versa, and you're dancing with that person, you leaving an impact of what kind of energy you leaving them with, what kind of experience they're gonna have. So judgment, fine, judge if you need to, right? We all have our phases, but we usually have to judge with the close people that we are with us. But remember, whatever you do or say leaves an impact whether you care or not. And I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Remember, this channel is for you. All I want to do is create a safe, wonderful place where we can all talk about dancing, different subjects, and go beyond just basic steps and all of the rest. So hopefully this video was important to you. Maybe you can share it with somebody else. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And of course, use that comment section and let me know your opinion about this video. Guys, I love you. Mwah!